happened last night was we broke the machine, okay? And I say the royal we. Now, I did used to work for Tucker Carlson. I know Tucker. We're not in business together or anything like that, but he's my boy. I love Tucker, and I've been an ardent defender of his. We call balls and strikes on this show. I celebrate and am joyous in his success because you cannot trust these multinational corporations. You have Fox News owned by Australians, right? Like, you cannot trust people with ESG scores and diversity, equity, inclusion departments to run our conservative movement. It's insane. And more importantly, if you're a leftist, you should also want the corporations to not be in total and complete control of your media. You should want independent voices to have clear-eyed visions of things and not the hive mind. I've worked in corporate media, man. I spent my young life working and hustling in corporate media. It is a hive mind, garbage industry that requires that you put away your instincts, your basest instincts, that's why we say based on this show, and that you become essentially a simp. And that is what you see when Donald Trump is interviewed on CNN, for instance. When Donald Trump goes and gets interviewed on CNN, and you have Caitlin Collins there, like just parroting and screeching, "Hey, Mr. President!" Remember her? Oh, it's so repulsive. She never asks a single question that anyone cares about. Doesn't ask a single question that people would be talking about in coffee shops, in small towns, in America, at gas stations, and anything. Nope. Just corporate drivel. Just awful, like, conspiracy theory level stuff. Nobody cares. It doesn't connect with anyone. What Tucker Carlson did last night was ask the questions that you and I care about. Yo, hey, Trump, what if they try and kill you? Yo, hey, Trump, did Epstein kill himself? Of course he didn't. What happened to Epstein? Like, what's going on right now in Ukraine? Like, this is a nightmare, right? Like, they're trying to start World War III in Ukraine. Why are they doing that? Like, Joe Biden, who's puppeteering Joe Biden? Tucker was able to ask the things that you and I talk about at our local pub, coffee shop, gas station. The stuff that you go home and talk with your wife about or your husband about. You're sitting there in the kitchen. It's the best time of my day is when our kids are down and my wife and I go downstairs. We have a very early bedtime in my family. We go downstairs and I have there's the basest conversation with my wife around our kitchen island. And we stand there and do the dishes right and clean everything up. And we just are able to jaw about real life. That's the kind of conversation that Tucker Carlson had with Donald Trump last night. We were so honored that you joined us live. Again, we broke every record that we have at this company for live viewership, and we are just getting started. The reason why this interview, and we're going to play you some of the best clips in a moment here. The reason why this interview resonated with people is because there were no ads. There was no corporate filter. Remember, Fox News is in trouble right now for cutting an interview with Tucker Carlson and Stephen Sund, the Capitol Police Chief, where Stephen Sund said that the entire audience was crawling with feds on January 6th. Huh? What? And Fox News wouldn't play it, right? Doesn't fit the agenda. Well, none of that anymore with Tucker. Now we are in charge. And we have broken the media matrix, and it's never going back. It's never going back. Raw, authentic, real, honest conversations. We have them on this show, and now Tucker Carlson is legion with us. Tucker Carlson is now allied and armored with us as we march into failings to one, give you a voice, and to destroy the corporate media complex that's just trying to control you. Man, it's an amazing time. Man, we're excited about it. Okay, baby, let's hop in. Again, the reason why this is viral, no odious ads, no corporate censorship, and no censorship of any kind because it was posted on Elon Musk's platform. The stars are aligning. God loves us, and he ain't done with us yet. Donald Trump on Joe Biden asked Tucker Carlson, this is the kind of stuff that you talk about with your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or whatever when you come home at night, isn't it? You come home, your long day of work, and you're like, yo, Joe Biden, he has dementia, right? Is he even going to make it next 18 months? Is he even going to be able, I saw him fall down the stairs the other day. I saw him fall on a flat surface. Is he even going to be able to make it? This is the kind of conversation I have with my wife. And Tucker Carlson having this conversation with the presumptive Republican nominee, which is by every measure, you have to essentially just say that Donald Trump is the nominee right now, okay? Everything else is just a debutante ball for Secretary of Education, you know? And so Tucker Carlson can just straight up sit back. You would never hear this. You'd never hear this, like, on any corporate media. Tucker Carlson just sit back, and he's like, yo, Joe Biden, he has got dementia, right? Like, he ain't going to be able to make it, right? He can't walk across a flat surface, right? He went to Lehana, he went to Maui, and he made a joke about how the ground was hot, and then told everyone to feel sorry for him because one time the water was really hot when he turned on his kitchen sink. And he also felt like his house was on fire. His Corvette could have been burned. Remember that? Like, yeah, the guy who fell asleep. The guy who fell asleep during the ceremony. Here's how Trump answered. Oh, it's great.
But Joe is really...
But you don't think he's going to make it to November of 24?
Well, I think he's worse mentally than he is physically. And physically, he's not exactly a triathlete or any kind of an athlete. You look at him, he can't walk to the helicopter. He walks... He can't lift his feet out of the grass. You know, it's only 2 inches at the White House, right? That's not a lot. But you watch him, and it looks like he's walking on toothpicks. So, and then you see him on the beach where he can't lift a chair. You know, those chairs are meant to be light, right? They're like 2 ounces.
Yeah.
You lift them up. He can't lift the chair. He can't walk to the chair. And I don't know what they're doing with the beach. You know, this beach is seeming to play a big role, but they love pictures of him on the beach. I think he looks terrible on the beach. He looks terrible on the beach.
Skinny legs.
Well, he can't walk through the sand. You know, sand is not that easy to walk through, but when he walks through it, he can't walk through the sand. And there's somebody in there that thinks he looks fabulous at the beach. I think he looks horrible at the beach. Plus, the beach doesn't represent what a president's supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be working.
Do you guys remember that photo of Donald Trump? Maybe ALX can grab it. The one where Trump has his tie off. And I think that, like COVID had hit, and, like, he was walking back, like really tired back to the White House after doing, like, a couple rallies, like meeting with a number of people, and, like, Trump had his tie off, and he's, like, walking into the White House, and this man just works and works and works and works up 16, according to reports, Trump sleeps like 3 hours a night, 4 hours a night. Like, the man just never stops. And there was a real value to that, because life is about survival. And you're only here because your ancestors were survivors. There are a lot of people who aren't here today because they didn't have survivalist ancestors that couldn't fight and couldn't work. And our ancestors had much harder lives than we have. And we are blessed to be born in this day and age. And this is what Donald Trump looks like after a long day of grinding and hustling. And this photo was taken at like midnight or 1 a.m. Donald Trump returning to the White House, beleaguered and exhausted, to get 2 hours of sleep and then hit it again the next morning. You remember that look? Remember seeing this? Man, it was nice to have a president work as hard as we work. Do you work this hard? Of course you do. We were live till midnight last night. It's nice to have a person reflect the greatness that made America and the working hard of the American spirit. Because we're not supposed to exist as a country. Should have been carved up a long time ago. Civil wars breaking apart. Shouldn't even happen. It's because of this kind of work ethic. The kind of work ethic of Donald Trump. And when you see Joe Biden's old, wrinkly, pale, man boob ass sitting on a beach, well, then you're like, man, first off, Joe Biden's clearly like taking hormones and transitioning. He's in such bad shape. And then secondarily, get that man a bra. And then tertiary, Joe Biden doesn't reflect what we believe we are as a nation. It's kind of nice to have that. Kind of nice. Check this out. Here's the actual interview on Truth. Correction. Here's the interview on X. 195 million views. Look at that. There it is. This is the most recent view counter. 165,000, 615,000. I mean, these numbers are behind. 200 million views. This is the most viewed interview in the history of the world. And you watched it live with us the second it was published. Again, we just say thank you so much to the brigade, and thank you so much to our viewership here that is growing quickly. It's the fastest growing streaming show, independent streaming show in the world, and we're honored. and we will not let you down. Donald Trump on Truth Social saying, Tucker Carlson interview with me is a blockbuster, could hit 200 million views. Well, there it is. And more. Thank you. Hope it was enjoyed by everyone. Well, let's keep going, baby. Donald Trump on Kamala Harris. Ooh. Oh, this is interesting. Donald Trump on Kamala Harris. Donald Trump paraphrasing one of our favorite comedians, Tim Dillon, which I think is awesome, and the Joe Rogan show, proving that Donald Trump watches Joe Rogan in case the constellation stars need to align even more. Amazing clip here. Watch.
But that would make Kamala Harris the candidate?
Well, not really. I mean, I guess they'd have maybe a free-for-all. A lot of people say she has to remain for certain reasons the candidate. She has to. I don't think that's true, actually. I don't think that other people would stand for it. She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah.
But
she seems pretty senile, too.
She speaks in rhyme. It's weird. It's weird. But she has bad moments. And
in rhyme? What do you...
Well, the way she talks, the bus will go here and then the bus will go there because that's what buses do. And it's weird. The whole thing is weird. This is not a president of the United States future. And I think they probably have some kind of a primary and other people will get involved.
Newsom, right? I
mean, could be. I mean, I always got along well with him, believe it or not. But could be him, could be somebody else.
Oh, man. So great. She speaks in rhyme. This is, I believe, a potential paraphrase of a comedian named Tim Dillon that says that Kamala Harris speaks in gypsy curses. And, oh, man, is this hysterical. We're checking to see if we can play you that clip right now. We're going to go and hunt it down. Tim Dillon, actually, hey, he's a great comedian. He's on Joe Rogan all the time. Guy's based. Guy's hysterical. We'll see. It'd be great if we found out that Donald Trump watches Joe Rogan, and then next is Donald Trump on Joe Rogan. I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be it. And why wouldn't you want this content? Here's Tucker Carlson going after his former employer, the pinnacle of professional journalist is a man named Chris Wallace. Okay, this is the smug, pretentious asshat on Fox News. You remember this guy, right? Limp wristy, like never worked a day in his life. Limp wristy, silver spoon, privileged. Chris Wallace, the guy who regularly interrupted Donald Trump during the debates in order to favor his best friend and butt buddy Joe Biden. You remember this guy. I mean, such a repulsive reptile. Chris Wallace. I do not like him. And Tucker doesn't either. This was Tucker Carlson's only, other than like doing this entire interview, right? Like this was Tucker Carlson's only like direct shot across the bow at Fox News. Oh, but it was beautiful. Tucker Carlson calling Chris Wallace oh, into my veins. Go.
I said, how come, and this was in front of probably not a friend of yours, Chris Wallace. He was the moderator.
Not a friend.
I said, why is it he wants to be Mike, but he doesn't have the talent? It's one of those
little man.
He wanted to be his father, but he didn't have the talent of his father was great. His father,
little fussy man.
His father interviewed me in 60 Minutes. It was actually a 10. Can you believe it?
No, I totally. His father had talent, at least.
I may have been the only guy that he gave a good 60 Minutes to. He was rough.
Really?
His father was tough. He was great, though. He was great at what he did. But Chris Wallace was so upset. He was guarding this guy who wouldn't do a show, by the way. He wouldn't do. I figured I didn't mind Chris Wallace because Biden wouldn't do a show. And it was very obvious. He kept asking him, but he wouldn't do the show. So I figured he's got to like me. But he came from a different planet. But remember when I asked the question, why is it that the mayor of Moscow's wife is allowed to give you $3.5 million? Don't forget, that was brought up. Now it's brought up all the time. But that was brought up by me long before anyone ever heard of it. I said, the mayor of Moscow's wife giving you $3.5 million. What did you do to deserve $3.5 million? To Biden. And Chris Wallace said, this has nothing to do with the debate. I mean, he
got in the way of the question.
Of course he did. Because he was there to protect Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden's a Manchurian candidate that isn't real. He's not a real person. Joe Biden isn't real. I'm not saying he has body doubles just yet, okay? Although I'm open to that possibility. I am simply saying that, Joe Biden number 2, Joe Biden number 5, you got to swap them out, got to oil them up. We have clips where Joe Biden looks like different people. I am simply saying that Joe Biden is a creation of the fifth column of people. Doesn't it prove our point here? That Fox News was against you? This was the guy who was moderating the debate. We're going to grab that clip too. This was the guy who was moderating the debate. Chris Wallace. And he was there as a representative of you and me. And Chris Wallace was there, like, essentially guarding Joe, putting up this giant wall around Joe Biden for known corruption. The mayor of Moscow, of course, is Yelena Baturina. It's the wife of the mayor of Moscow. Yelena Baturina gave $3.5 million to Hunter Biden. We know that. We have the bank records. She also is not on the sanction list. Oh, that's really curious. I wonder why that is. Because she knows where all the bodies are buried. And Chris Wallace went and ran interference for Joe Biden during the debates. It's repulsive. We're going to grab the clip. We're going to grab the clip and we're going to play it again. So that you can be summarily repulsed as we are with these kind of just egregious actions that are done in your name. Because remember, this was supposed to be the debate that had a conservative moderator. This is why corporate media is evil. Because they give people like Chris Wallace jobs in your name and say that you're the ones who support Chris Wallace. They're liars. They're liars, and they take advantage of you. And they want to take advantage of Trump. I mean, obviously, they've gone as far as they can. Donald Trump will be arrested again today. We'll get a mugshot today. That's supposed to happen around between 6 and 8 o'clock. So expect us to be live. Outlaw president, we're going to call it. The outlaw president. Expect us to be live tomorrow. I'm sorry, tonight. 6 to 8 is when they expect Donald Trump. So we're going to be rocking and rolling. And we have a report from the courthouse actually coming on this live. We're going to go live to the courthouse right now. We got people everywhere, baby. The brigade is legion. But Tucker's like, they've done everything they can to stop you now. They've thrown everything at the wall. Are they just going to kill you? Next? They're just going to kill you? They're going to do you like JFK? Watch.
So the reason I'm asking you is I'm looking at the trajectory since 2015 when you got into politics, for real, and then won. It started with protests against you, massive protests, right. Organized protests by the left, and then it moved to impeachment twice,
right.
And now indictment. I mean, the next stage is violence. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you, honestly?
They're savage animals. They are people that are sick, really sick. You have great people in the Democrat Party. You have great people that are Democrats. Most of the people in our country are fantastic, and I'm representing everybody. I'm not just Republicans or conservatives. Right. I represent everybody. I'm the president of everybody.
I'm the president of everyone. Yeah. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, we really did reach an inflection point last night. We'll reach an inflection point once more today. I believe that the narrative is breaking, and I believe that these people are going to get desperate. Donald Trump said that the charges against him are, and I quote, bullshit. And we'll see later today. Here's Donald Trump saying so.
I mean, the 4 indictments, and maybe there'll be more. I don't know. These people are crazy.
But they're counterproductive. So if you chart it out, it's an escalation, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So what's next? After, try to put you in prison for the rest of your life, that's not working. So, don't they have to kill you now?
I think the people of our country don't get enough credit for how smart they are. And I'm not sure I would have said this 10 years ago, but they get it. They really get it. When somebody gets indicted, your poll numbers go down. When somebody gets indicted, you announce, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be leaving to spend time with my family and to fight for the rest of my life on this stuff. But you're out of politics. I got indicted 4 times. All trivia, nonsense, bullshit. It's all bullshit.
He's right. He's right. There is a machine that cannot allow outsiders in. We're going to cover here in just a moment what Vivek just did to the entire Republican field. We're going to cover here in just a moment exactly how powerful the outsider candidate is and what makes Donald Trump, and why Vivek was a cutout of Trump last night at the debate, and how powerful that was. The entire industry is built around control. This is why we're so proud to be independent. This is why we love you so much. You allow us to be independent by watching the show and supporting the show. We just say thank you. We got no strings to hold us down. Ain't a single person that can tell us what to say. You tell us what to say, meaning we care about you. We're going to broadcast and we're going to speak with you, for you. And that's awesome. What a special time in life. That's never existed before. And that's actually that's the way it should be, quite frankly, in media. The way it was for thousands of years with media and entertainment was people would go to live shows. They'd go to the Grecian or Shakespearean theater. They'd yell at the actors. They'd throw tomatoes. But something weird happened in the last 100 years of American media where we started to get controlled. We had monodirectional, instead of interactive media, we had monodirectional media where whether it's Tom Cruise on screen or whether it's, an anchor sitting in a chair yelling at you, you had no interaction with the media you were consuming. We got to change that. It should be interactive. That's the way that's actually the healthiest for society, and it's the best for us as creators to be able to hear from and have connection with our audience. So that's what we're building here, and we're very, very thankful for that. What you get when somebody claims to represent you, like the bitchy man, Chris Wallace, is you get moments like this, where Chris Wallace, the Fox News anchor, is representing conservatives during the debate, and he did this in your name. He desecrated truth in your name. This is sick and vindictive, and it's so wrong. And these people are such scum for betraying you. We will never betray you. But a good reminder, watch.
Deficit China with ate Mexico. Your lunch down 18%. China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars, and also while we're at it, why is it? Just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
None of that is true. Let him answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really? He didn't get $3.5 million? Mr. President, Mr. President, please.
Totally discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
well, wait, he didn't get $3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
he got $3.5 million.
That is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President, it's an open discussion, please.
Now, it's a fact.
Well, you have raised an issue. Let the Vice President answer.
Discredited.
Did Burisma pay him $183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr. President,
with no
my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
By who?
And the
media?
By everybody. Well, by the media, by our allies, by the World Bank, by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people who testified.
Do you hear that? Do you hear Chris Wallace in your name lying to the nation? The only reason Chris Wallace has that job was because we watched Fox News. The only reason that Chris Wallace had that position to go in there and to lie, because you can see right here on your screen, from the right-wing news site, Newsweek, you actually can't get more left-wing, from the propaganda site, Newsweek, saying, yeah, actually this is true. Hunter Biden received $3.5 million payment from ex-Moscow mayor's wife. They have to add Republican report says, but the Republican report has the bank accounts of the Bidens. Straight from the Treasury. So Chris Wallace was lying. Joe Biden was lying. And instead of doing his job as a moderator to say, hey, Joe, do you have any evidence that this didn't happen? Like, this is a pretty devastating allegation. Chris Wallace helps him lie in your name. Chris Wallace takes the value of us as media consumers and then weaponizes it against you and against your candidate. Ooh. Oh, it's enough to get your blood boiling. It really is. Let's take the heat off with a joke that Donald Trump paraphrased about Kamala Harris. Here's the original joke from Tim Dillon. Donald Trump saying that Kamala Harris speaks in rhyme. Tim Dillon saying Kamala Harris speaks in gypsy curses. Hysterical. This proves that Donald Trump watches Joe Rogan. Come on, man. How much better can the night get? Here we go.
One more year from now.
There's no way.
How?
Newsom is coming up and trying to run. There are other people that are circling. I don't think he runs again. I can't see it. I don't see it.
How do you think they get Kamala Harris to step down? Because she's rightfully, if he steps down, until
Kamala Harris cannot say a sentence. It's almost she's almost worse than him. She talks in like gypsy curses. When they ask her something, she'll be like, "My grandma said that a hive of bees is still bees if you bury it." And you're like, "What the is this saying?"
Gypsy curses.
That's how she speaks. The woman has no idea what's going on.
Okay. Okay. So this is my fault. Sorry. We try not to drop F-bombs on the show. This is my fault for asking for media in the middle of the show. So my apologies. We do our best to have a family-friendly show here. Every once in a while, things slip through. Joe Rogan has an adult program with adult language. And again, my apologies. I hope that, if you can look, I hope you enjoyed it. All right? We're all hopefully adults here. And ladies and gentlemen, we are doing our best to have a good time and keep up the esprit de corps. All right? What a great moment in time. What a blessing that we have. What a blessing we have to be living in this time, in this moment, in this media ecosystem. How great is that? So let's recap here. That's Joe Rogan. He's the most listened to man in the world. Inarguably. Joe Rogan has 15 to 20 million people download his podcast per show, right? Tucker Carlson, on his platform, which is Twitter, X, he has 200 million views on this. We're winning. Don't let anyone gaslight you. We're winning. We're winning. That's Joe Rogan belly laughing at jokes about Kamala Harris being a gypsy curse, burying a hive of bees. Belly laughing, rolling over on his show. And here's Tucker Carlson sticking his thumb in the eye of the corporate press and saying, I can do it better, and doing it better. Now, we don't know the ratings for Fox News' debate last night just yet, but we will find out, and I will tell you this, it won't be 200 million people. I can tell you. I would doubt that it's 10 million. I would doubt that it's a teeny fraction.